Ever wondered what really happened to women accused of infidelity in the Middle Ages? The truth is far more brutal and twisted than you might imagine. Forget simple punishments. We're talking about accusations used as political weapons, public executions designed for maximum terror, and stories of revenge that sound like they're straight out of a grim fantasy novel. Today, we're uncovering the real, bone-chilling consequences of female adultery in a time when a woman's body was a battlefield for power, inheritance, and social control. These aren't just stories. They were real lives, and their endings will haunt you. Let's start in 15th century Bavaria with a woman named Agnes Ber. She wasn't a noble, but her beauty and intelligence captivated Albert III, the heir to the entire dude. He fell so deeply in love that he began living with her as his wife, even though they weren't legally married. For the nobility, this was a scandal. But for Albert's father, Duke Ernest, it was a direct threat to his dynasty. What if Agnes, a commoner, had a son? The pure noble bloodline would be tainted forever. This couldn't be allowed to happen. But how do you get rid of a woman your son adores without starting a civil war? The answer was as simple as it was evil. You find a crime that requires her death. So, while Prince Albert was conveniently sent away on a mission, his father made his move. He set up a tribunal and accused Agnes of a devastating combination of crimes: witchcraft, seducing the heir, and adultery. It didn't matter that she wasn't actually married to Albert, so the charge of adultery was technically baseless. The accusation was enough. Her trial was a sham. There was no real defense, because her sentence had been decided before she even walked into the room. The verdict was guilty, but the method of her execution was chosen with cold, calculating precision. Agnes was not beheaded, nor was she burned at the stake. She was taken to the icy Danube River. Her hands and feet bound, they submerged her slowly, drowning her in the cold water. This method was considered a clean execution, one that shed no blood, making it legally palatable. When Prince Albert returned, he found only a chilling silence and the dead body of the woman he loved. He never forgave his father, and the tragedy of Agnes Bernaua became a dark legend, a stark reminder of how love could be twisted into a political death sentence. But drowning was just one of the horrific fates that awaited women. In many cities of the Holy Roman Empire, a different, more psychological form of torture was reserved for wives caught with a lover, being buried alive. Imagine this. An Augsburg chronicle from the 13th century tells the story of a married woman discovered with her lover. What happened next reveals the shocking double standard of the time. The man was publicly flogged and then banished from the city, a harsh punishment, but he kept his life. The woman, however, was branded a corrupter of the Christian order. Her crime was seen as a threat to the very fabric of society. There was no appeal, no one to speak for her. Her execution was a public spectacle. She was forced into a pit dug in the ground, and then dirt was shoveled in, packing her in until only her head was visible above the earth. For hours, the entire city filed past. Some spat on her, others whispered prayers, but no one dared to intervene. She died a slow, agonizing death from suffocation and exposure, all while serving as a terrifying lesson to every other woman watching. Her suffering was the point. It was a clear, brutal message. This is what happens when a woman steps out of line. The punishment wasn't just about her. It was about controlling all women through fear. Her grave became a public stage, and her death a piece of civic theater. Now, what if the woman accused was powerful, noble, and wealthy? Surely, she would be safe, right? Wrong. In the 14th century, Joan of Balville learned that power could make you a bigger target. Joan was a formidable Breton noblewoman. Her nightmare began when her husband was executed for treason against the French king. Joan, however, refused to be a passive victim. She fought to reclaim her confiscated lands and titles for her children, and that was her true crime. A woman demanding justice, wielding power, and challenging the king was unforgivable. So, they used the most reliable weapon in their arsenal to destroy her. They accused her of adultery and immoral conduct. It was a common tactic to neutralize inconvenient women, and it worked perfectly. The king seized all her properties, leaving her destitute. Joan was banished, forced to wander with her young children, begging for shelter. But the brand of adulteress was like a plague. No one would help her. Taking her in meant risking the king's wrath. She was socially contagious. The horror reached its peak when sheltering on a small boat, penniless and starving. One of her children died of hunger right in her arms. But Joan didn't break. She survived, and something inside her transformed. That grief and rage forged her into something new, something terrifying. She became a pirate, buying ships. She painted them black and raised red sails, becoming the bloody lioness of Brittany. 4 years. She hunted French ships, showing no mercy, often executing entire crews. The accusation of adultery was the spark, but the inferno that followed was a woman's brutal, violent answer to a world that had tried to erase her. So we've seen drowning, burial, and social ruin. But what about the most infamous symbol of medieval control? The chastity belt. While the cartoonish iron contraptions you see in museums are mostly 19th century fantasies, the idea of physically and socially locking up a woman was very real. The control wasn't always about a literal lock and key. It was about creating a prison of shame, isolation, and constant surveillance. A Lombard chronicle describes a wife who was suspected of being unfaithful. Her husband didn't need a public trial to punish her. He made her life a living hell. She was constantly watched, publicly humiliated by her husband and his family, and completely isolated from her friends and community. She wasn't taken to a stake or a river. Her punishment was quieter, but no less deadly. She died slowly from a combination of neglect, the shame that ate away at her spirit, and likely from infections caused by unsanitary conditions, if any physical restraints were used. Her death proves that sometimes the most effective punishments required no official executioner at all. The slow, grinding pressure of social death could be just as fatal as any blade. It was a system designed to make a woman's own life, her prison, and her shame, her executioner. As we look back at these harrowing stories, a clear and disturbing pattern emerges. In the Middle Ages, the accusation of female adultery was rarely just about infidelity. It was a multi-purpose tool of incredible power. It was used to eliminate politically inconvenient women, like Agnes Bernauer, whose only crime was loving the wrong man. It was used to control inheritances and ensure that wealth and land stayed in the right hands, as seen with Joan of Belt. And it was used to impose a reign of social terror, using the public, brutal deaths of women as a warning to all others. Many of these women died not for what they did, but for what they represented. A threat to male authority, a disruption to the lineage, or simply a woman who refused to be silent. Their stories are a chilling reminder that for centuries, justice was not blind. It was a weapon, and women were overwhelmingly its target. Thank you for joining us on this journey into one of history's darkest corners. If these stories moved you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the past. Let us know in the comments which of these stories shocked you the most. See you next time.